it's been quite obvious really since about 2021 that China's property sector is in not just disarray but in complete meltdown. I mean, we've seen, the collapse of China Evergrande, that huge company, one of the biggest property developers in the world at one stage, and then those problems ripple through the entire property development industry, and you've got a whole lot of other big players, Country Garden for instance, that are also in trouble. So it's been a problem that's been out there. Local investors, Chinese investors have lost a lot of money, global investors have lost a lot of money, and everybody assumed years ago that the Chinese government would do something to inject some cash or bail out the companies themselves or do something to rescue this. But they've done pretty much, tiny little piecemeal things, but not really very much of any substance.
The big question for us, of course, is what are the implications for Australia's economy?
Well, the major implication is in exports, and property, accounts for around about 40 to 50% of steel production in China, and you've seen these big companies go under. You've also seen a huge drop-off in the amount of construction that's underway. And if you look at the figures that have just come out in the last few weeks, new construction, floor space being built, is around about 80% down on its levels of 2020. It's down, hugely even on last year. And this has a ripple-on effect, all right? It's because it takes 4 years or so for a major, apartment building or whatever to be completed. And so if you don't start something now, like if your starts are way down from where they were, that then ripples through for the next 4 years. And we've seen decline since 2020, each and every year, and now it's really hitting rock bottom.
And so, Ian, could Australia's economy face greater risks given the attack from the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump against China over its international trading practices? Will this have an impact on Australia?
Yeah, I think so, because the major attack from Donald Trump is over the fact that China racks up a huge trade surplus. But one of the reasons for that is that the Chinese people themselves don't consume a lot. So I remember 20 years ago that, Beijing at that stage was saying we need to transform the economy into a consumer economy. We need the Chinese people to start behaving more like Americans, Australians and Europeans do, actually spend their money. But the Chinese people don't spend a lot. They save and they invest. And a lot of that is down to the fact that they don't really have much of a social security system. So they're saving for retirement, for the time when they can't earn any money, and they have to put all of that away. So they don't, spend a lot of money. That means that China's out there exporting to the rest of the world, but the Chinese people themselves, the Chinese economy itself, doesn't actually spend much at a household level. Household consumption accounts for about 39% of GDP. America, it's mid-60s to high 60% of GDP.
And so if Donald Trump does end up again in the White House, what will the repercussions be?
Well, he's threatening, massive tariffs up to 100% on all Chinese goods, primarily because of this problem that Beijing can't seem to fix. So it does seem, the latest trade figures show a record trade imbalance, a record trade surplus for China, which Donald Trump thinks is some great conspiracy to, rip off the American public.
Okay, Ian Verrender, thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten.